We now know how to graph a line. We can use general points, pick any x and get a y, or pick a y and get an x. We saw the x and y intercepts can be useful, and especially whenever we're doing a vertical or horizontal line, we can use that intercept as the generating point, if you will, for our line. It's going to be the main point we can find. Now we're going to look at finding the slope of a line. And remember that a slope is like the slant of a line in a sense. It's a comparison of how high or low it rises or falls in comparison to the horizontal change, so how far it goes across. You may have heard slope previously called rise over run. So that's the idea of the difference in the y's. That's that delta y. That's a Greek letter, the triangle. And then the bottom is delta x, meaning the change or the difference in the x's. So if we have 2 points and we want to calculate that slope, we can do so by taking y2 minus y1, in other words, the change in the y, the difference in those, compared to x2 minus x1. So that's going to be the difference in the x's. Word of caution, whatever y you start with, make sure you start with the same x on the bottom. Otherwise, you'll end up with the opposite sign for your slope is what you should have. Okay, so let's try this out. We want to find the slope of a line passing through the given points. So number 4, we're given the point -2, 3 and the point 1, -8. I'm going to label these as x1 and y1 and then x2, y2, just to help me remember which one I'm using for which. So my slope, m, equals, I want y2 minus y1, so -8 minus 3, divided by x2, which would be 1, minus x1. That's a -2. Be careful about the signs. You need to account for both negatives there. Then I'm going to go ahead and simplify. I have -11 over 3, because that's 1 plus 2. And so this is my slope. It's a negative slope, which means that, for example, I would go down from a given point on the line, down 11 and right 3. If this fraction could be reduced, I would do that. This one can't, so that's as good as it gets. Now, number 5 has decimals in it. Don't let that throw you. It still works exactly the same way. So just label x1, y1, x2, y2, and do the calculation. So we have y2, which is 1.3, minus y1, which is -0.4, divided by x2, which is 0.8, minus x1, which is 1.2. And then we're going to simplify. So on the top, that's really 1.3 plus 0.4, so we'll have 1.7. And then we'll divide that by, let's see, we have 0.8 minus 1.2, so we would have -0.4, it looks like. Now, there are a couple of ways you can do this. You can go ahead and divide and get the decimal for this one, or, because there are already decimals in it, by the way, if there are not already decimals, we don't want to write the slope with decimals. The way we would probably prefer to see this one is that you move the decimal one place to the right on the top and on the bottom, which is going to give you, still have a -17 over 4. And then that would not simplify. So that would be our slope.